Hello all, Rick here with another Starship Lore video, and this time we're covering a diminutive vessel from the Cardassian Union with a surprising origin. Or maybe not, we'll see. Designed by Jim Martin based on Sternbach's designs, the Hideki was originally supposed to be a Cardassian shuttle, equivalent to a runabout and initially featured as such before taking on a combat role. The ship maintained the recognisable silhouette of a Cardassian ship and the striking hull texture of their larger vessels. This vessel was named for the Japanese physicist Yukawa Hideki, which is very nice for the Cardassians to honour a human scientist from 1935. Now, like the Dominion battleship, the Hideki saw scaling issues in its portrayal, appearing both as a runabout equivalent and comparable to the Defiant. One explanation for this in-universe is that there are indeed two scales of the vessel, and that they did just do a Klingon bird of prey thing where they replicated the design on different sizes, with different internals, giving rise to the attack ship and shuttle variations. However, most of the lore we have on it defines it as a single class, so with that discrepancy out of the way, let's take a look at said lore. So, the Cardassian Union had its Gallo class, then their second attempt at that vessel with the Keldon, and for the most part, this was their standard ship. But, as the gulf between Starfleet and their technology became more apparent, the Cardassian Union began to design a class of ship that was less resource intensive for missions where sending a Gallo class was unneeded. It should be noted that the Cardassians do have more than 3 styles of ship, we just seldom see them. Now, this next part is only suspected by Starfleet intelligence and unconfirmed, but it's suggested that the Cardassian Union managed to acquire detailed information on the Defiant class, thanks to the resemblance of the fore of the vessel. However, as no intelligence leak could be discovered, it's assumed that this is the result of observation or coincidence. The only problem with this being the case is that there was no opportunity for the Defiant class to be studied in detail until 2371, and the Hideki was prevalent a year prior by 2370. While definitely a new class by this time, it would suggest a very rapid turnaround from the Cardassians to go from understanding to manufacturing a fleet of these ships in such a short time. Hence Starfleet's concern. An alternate apocrypha dates the vessel back as far as 2327, which predates the Gallo class. However, I feel this is less likely, as the Hideki seems new to Starfleet by the time of DS9. Either way, the class was a common sight by the Dominion War. Originally, the plan was to create a transportation vessel, larger than a Starfleet runabout, but with more or less the same mission profile. The Cardassian Union pivoted during its design to kit it out more with aggressive functionality and widened its scope. The Hideki class was classified as a strike freighter by Cardassia and as an attack ship by Starfleet. It was to partake in patrol, courier and fleet battle operations as a nimble combatant to rival things like Starfleet and the Dominion's fighter attack ships. The Cardassia Prime Orbital 3 assembly facility took on the bulk of manufacturing of this vessel, churning them out at high speed. When operating in the Dominion War, these ships were generally assigned alongside larger vessels, or to patrol in small formations of 2 to 5 ships, responsible for spreading out and canvassing an area. They took on additional roles as armed supply ships and occasionally troop transports. The vessel was 85.8 metres long, 60 wide and 12.4 tall, with a mass of 120,000 metric tons over 5 decks. It could operate with as few as 5 personnel, but had a maximum crew complement of 30, plus a little more room for troop transport, should it be being used as a dropship. When it came to the power needed, the diminutive size worked in its favour and allowed for a lighter, more compact reactor with more efficient results than the Gallo class, leading to its twin matter-antimatter reactors producing enough power to achieve warp 9.5 at its highest maximum, while a factor of warp 8 was sustainable without straining the engines. Its cruise factor, however, was lower. The prongs on the back contained additional warp coils and could adjust the field on the fly. Its impulse drives were pretty strong, and again the small scale led to a quicker turn rate, making it a very nimble little ship. Clearly, the Cardassians really were trying something different with this. The Hideki was armed with 4 spiral wave disruptors and 1 aft disruptor cannon as standard. However, it could be refitted to carry Galor-class banks, but the additional power drain from these heavier weapons came at the cost of other systems, an exacerbation of this ship's major weakness, which is that its compact deflector shielding was fantastic at dissipating energy weapons, but buckled under the kinetic impacts. So if something physically struck its shielding, it was far more likely to overload and pierce them than a phaser or disruptor beam. Now, with the ship's agility, this was deemed to be an acceptable compromise, but perhaps lends credence to the notion that production of this vessel was slightly rushed. Whether or not the Cardassian Union managed to copy the Defiant is a relatively moot point, as the ship featured none of Starfleet's not a warship trademark technologies. No pulse weaponry, no ablative armour, and definitely no cloaking device, although it was cloak compatible, but I mean, what isn't? The Hideki's uncertain origin, however, belies its effective design, and while it maintains that impact flaw, generally you want to avoid getting hit by things in space regardless, and this had the manoeuvrability to do so. It performed exceedingly well in its variety of roles, leading it to pick up the slack while the Galor class received some much needed updating, and it was an effective addition to the fleet, juggling multiple roles. Almost a tough little ship. Thanks again for watching this breakdown on the Hideki Class Identity Crisis. I've been Rick, thanks again, and goodbye.